Okay, Amy, thanks for the next interview, and we're going to ask you about Tuscany. And how long did you spend in Tuscany?
I was in Tuscany, the heart of it, for about a week.
And where did you stay?
In a manor house or a guest apartment, I guess they call it, but we had the whole house in and around an area called Lucignano d'Asso.
And you went with some friends, correct?
Yeah, they had actually rented it for 2 weeks, and I was traveling elsewhere in Europe, so I just traveled through Florence and then took a bus through Siena to the northern part of southern, right below Florence, to meet up with them.
What was the manor house like?
It was huge. The fireplace in the living room we could stand in. I remember that. We had, I'm guessing, between 4 and 5 beautiful bedrooms. With mine particularly, I can remember the windows open into that perfect picturesque view of Tuscany with those long, tall trees and winding roads and vineyards and olive gardens. And it was magical. I felt like I was on a movie set.
It sounds very refreshing. You came away quite relaxed afterwards, I bet.
Yeah, and I think what I remember most was the fact that we could just walk into these little, I wouldn't even call it a town. There was a few houses clustered around a little store, and we pulled the milk and the cheese there was no refrigeration or electricity in the store. They just had it hewn into the rock, a place for the cold things. And we would just pick up what we needed for that day and then go back to the manor house in this gorgeous, perfectly stocked kitchen, make whatever we wanted for dinner, and sit around and enjoy being lords of a manor for a week.
And the home belongs to some locals, and it sounds like that was a good experience as well, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably what I liked best about it in terms of the setup. It didn't feel like I was stuck somewhere. We had a way to ask for advice or suggestions on days we wanted to go exploring. There are so many days where we just wanted to walk through the vineyards around the house and enjoy. There was a pool there too. But we did have someone we could go to that was actually one of the people that belonged to the owners of the home, the family, and she just gave us recommendations and even made appointments for us and reservations for us at different places we wanted to go. So it was a really nice way to experience being sort of away and hidden and restful, and also have local advice handy to help you.
And you rented a car, and what were some of the trips you went on?
We didn't go anywhere with a name. We just traveled all around Tuscany. We went to no large cities. Montepulciano is the closest large city we went to. We just explored every tiny little town we could find, and when we were hungry, we stopped at a place that had food and ate, and it was truly, it was probably the most wonderful vacation and my favorite place to date on earth. I've never been to another country, another part of a country I've loved more, so someday I'd like to return.
Quite an endorsement. Were there any negatives to the trip at all?
I think in some circumstances, I actually happened to speak Italian, and the people I was with didn't speak Italian, and I had to do some negotiating a few times when there was misunderstandings or a culture shock happening. So personally, my advice is to not necessarily learn the language of every place you go, except for a few polite phrases, but just to kind of book a little extra time into your schedule every day for those kind of moments when you're not going to understand, or it's going to take longer. You're going to have to pull out your gadget that has Italian or whatever language it is on there, and just not to be to try to build some time in your day so you can have those frustrations, and when you don't happen to have a translator with you by chance,
right,
it's a lot easier.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like you guys were laid back for the most part, especially you during the trip. So that helped, that whenever there was confusion, no big deal.
Yeah, it was great.
Any other Tuscany recommendations for us?
Well, I just thoroughly loved my time in Siena. I spent the whole day there just because I fell in love with it. It's a walled city, and there's no traffic allowed in the center, so you feel like you've gone back to medieval times. And I also heartily recommend Florence. It's just the classic city. It never fails to impress me. I loved it so much at the end of a 7-week trip I had taken in Europe. I went back there because I hadn't had enough, and I'd already been there for a week and I wanted more. So I heartily recommend those 2 places.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thanks so much. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.